If you're looking to buy a smartphone around the 15,000 price range, these are the best options right now. The Redmi Note 5 Pro from Xiaomi, the Zenfone Max Pro M1 from Asus, and the Realme one from Oppo. But which of these is the best of the best? To answer that, in this video we will be comparing the 6GB variant of all these phones across 7 different categories. In the end we will have a winner. This is the battle of the budget king, so without any further ado, let's get started. Let's start with the design. The Redmi Note 5 Pro has a simple yet elegant design. The only thing that bothers me about the design is the iPhone-inspired massive camera bump. The Zenfone Max Pro has a similar design but without any camera bump, and in this grey variant it looks really nice. Lastly, the Realme one has the most unique design of the lot. The crystal-like reflective back looks great. This phone also has the best screen-to-body ratio. Well, design is a subjective matter, and in my opinion, the Zenfone Max Pro in this grey variant looks the best, followed by the Realme one, and lastly the Redmi Note 5 Pro. While design is a subjective matter, build quality is not. And here, both Redmi Note 5 Pro as well as Zenfone Max Pro have superior build quality thanks to their metal backs. Realme one's glossy back is a fingerprint magnet and doesn't feel very premium in the hand. On the front, the Redmi Note 5 Pro has a 2.5D Gorilla Glass protection with oleophobic coating. The Zenfone Max Pro doesn't have a Gorilla Glass but still has a 2.5D glass with oleophobic coating. I had accidentally dropped this phone on its face while shooting this video from about 3 feet height, and it didn't have any impact on this phone, which speaks a lot about the durability. Lastly, the Realme one comes with a pre-applied screen protector which I have removed, and the 2.5D glass underneath doesn't have any oleophobic coating. So in terms of build quality, the Redmi Note 5 Pro is the winner, followed by the Zenfone, and the Realme one comes last. Overall, the Zenfone Max Pro is the winner of this category. In this category, all 3 phones are neck and neck, with just slight differences here and there. All 3 phones sport an 18:9 6-inch screen with Full HD Plus resolution, providing over 400 pixels per inch. All are IPS LCD screens with good brightness, colors, contrast and viewing angles. Xiaomi and Oppo also let you tweak the white balance of the screen to your preference. All 3 provide blue light filter which can be scheduled to turn on or off at a particular time. Of the 3, I prefer the Redmi Note 5 Pro's screen slightly over the other phones. Realme one comes second as it has really good whites. Zenfone by default has warmer colors with no options to tweak them and hence comes last. Now let's talk about audio via headphones. Here the Realme one has a clear advantage as it delivers the best soundstage experience with crisp details. Other 2 phones also do a good job, but the Redmi phone can get much louder. In terms of the loudspeaker, all 3 provide loud and clear sound. Zenfone provides slightly deeper sound compared to the rest, which I prefer. However, the loudspeaker placement of the Realme one is not good. It can be easily muffled while gaming or watching videos. So overall in this category, the Redmi Note 5 Pro wins, but the other 2 phones aren't far behind. The Redmi Note 5 Pro as well as the Zenfone Max Pro are powered by the Snapdragon 636 processor from Qualcomm, whereas the Realme one is powered by the Helio P60 chipset from MediaTek. On paper, the P60 is superior both in terms of CPU as well as GPU. Let's see how these phones perform in the real world. First, let's try some benchmarks. So as per the benchmarks, the Helio P60 has a 15 to 20% performance advantage. Now let's do a speed test to see which phone performs better in day-to-day usage. As all 3 phones have 6GB RAM, we'll try running 20 apps simultaneously, including 3 games. The Realme 1 did win the first round, but faltered in the second, but that is due to the poor memory management of ColorOS. Even the Redmi Note 5 Pro had a very bad second round. This phone had excellent RAM management on Nougat, but it has been really bad since the Oreo update. I hope Xiaomi fixes this soon. Here the Zenfone shines as the stock Android UI shows off its great memory management skills. Moving to CPU intensive video editing, here I am reducing the speed of a 1080p 60fps video to half. Surprisingly, the Zenfone won this round. In terms of gaming, I have tested all these games on all three phones and all handle all games really well. However, the Realme 1 loads games much faster, but some games are better optimized for Qualcomm chipsets, making them look better on the Redmi Note 5 Pro and the Zenfone Max Pro compared to the Realme 1. Overall, in day-to-day and gaming performance, the Zenfone Max Pro comes out on top despite having the weaker chip here. Helio P60 is great, but the ColorOS on the Realme 1 kind of bottlenecks its performance. Hopefully this will be fixed soon by software updates. Same is the case with the Redmi Note 5 Pro with MIUI. All three phones are currently running Android Oreo. However, the user experience provided by all three is completely different. This is perhaps the most important category, at least for me, as software is something that makes or breaks the phone in the long run. First, let's start with the near stock Android on Zenfone Max Pro. As you have already seen in the speed test, this is the fastest phone in day-to-day usage. It does miss out on a few features like one-hand mode, dual apps, and scrollable screenshots, but most of it can be added from the Play Store. It does get screen-off gestures from ASUS and a Snapdragon camera app which is feature-packed, but that's about it. This enables ASUS to push updates much faster to this phone, and hence this is the most future-proof phone in terms of software support. I have always liked the MIUI design except for the launcher, which doesn't have an app drawer, but that can be easily fixed with Nova or any other launcher. MIUI is extremely feature-packed and fast and fluid in day-to-day usage. However, currently the RAM management is really bad, but I hope it is fixed soon. The biggest problem with Xiaomi phones is Android updates. They do push out MIUI updates regularly, but when it comes to Android updates, they are not at all consistent. This phone launched with Android Nougat, which is a 2-year-old version of Android, which is simply unacceptable in 2018. The stable Oreo update came just 1 month back in July, while all other 2018 phones have had Oreo since launch. I don't see Xiaomi providing Android Pie for at least 9 months, and I don't expect them to provide another major Android update after Pie. so this phone is not very good in terms of software future-proofing. Lastly, ColorOS by Oppo. Straight out of the gate, I want to say that software is the weakest aspect of this phone, not in terms of features, but in terms of usability. There is no consistent design language. Some things like the recent apps are a complete rip-off of the iPhone. You don't see notification icons in the notification bar, again like the iPhone. You can't swipe to clear individual notifications, you have to swipe left and tap delete. Awesome, right? If you turn on developer mode to speed up animations or something else, ColorOS, like an overprotective parent, constantly tells you to close it by making the notification bar yellow with a constant prompt to close it. There are so many such weird things in ColorOS that collectively lead to a frustrating experience. There are some good points about ColorOS as well, like screen off gestures, so many toggles, game acceleration, and a lot more. But this UI has a long way to go before it can be considered intuitive. So, in the software department, the Zenfone Max Pro wins as it delivers a great user experience. Redmi Note 5 Pro follows with a good user interface but poor software update track record, and RAM management issues as well. And the Realme one comes last. Realme 1 comes with a respectable 3400 mAh battery, and the Redmi Note 5 Pro comes with a pretty good 4000 mAh battery. But the Zenfone Max Pro comes with a totally insane 5000 mAh battery. In my battery drain test, the Realme 1 lasted for around 7.5 hours, while the Redmi Note 5 Pro lasted close to 8.5 hours. And the Zenfone Max Pro lasted for almost 10 hours, which is absolutely insane. I wanted to do the charging test in switch off mode, but the Zenfone Max Pro doesn't display battery percentage when switched off, so I did the test in flight mode. These are the charging times with the included 10-watt chargers. And these are the charging speeds with a quick charge 3.0 charger. Surprisingly, both Zenfone as well as Realme 1 charges slowly with a fast charger compared to a standard 10-watt charger. In the end, Zenfone's battery is an absolute beast. You can genuinely expect it to last at least a couple of days, irrespective of your usage. Redmi Note 5 Pro comes second, and quick charge support is a good positive. Lastly, while not bad, the Realme 1 can't even come close to the other two giants in terms of battery life. For the camera comparison, let's quickly dive into the camera samples. As you can see, the images from the Redmi Note 5 Pro are close to real but a little contrasty. Realme 1 images look great but a little unrealistic. Finally, the Zenfone images look quite bland, even though they are quite detailed. For video, Zenfone has 4K video. Other two phones' hardware is also capable of 4K, but the phone manufacturers have not yet enabled it. Redmi Note 5 Pro has awesome EIS. For selfies, Redmi and Zenfone both have much more capable hardware compared to the Realme phone. To make images pop on the Zenfone and get EIS for videos, you can simply enable the camera to API without root. That makes a massive difference. There are a lot of videos about this on YouTube. In terms of the built-in camera app, the Realme app is the best with full manual control. Redmi follows with an intuitive and easy to use app. Zenfone app, while being feature-packed, is quite clunky and frequently used options like flash and exposure are hidden in the settings. The Redmi Note 5 Pro is the best overall package in terms of camera. Zenfone follows with great hardware, but it is let down by its default software, but it can be fixed by enabling the camera to API. And the Realme one comes last with great software, but not very capable hardware. While the Zenfone Max Pro and the Redmi Note 5 Pro both have a respectable 64GB internal storage, the Realme one comes with a first-in-class 128 gigs of internal storage, which is extremely impressive. While the Redmi Note 5 Pro comes with a hybrid SIM tray, which can hold 2 SIMs or 1 SIM and 1 micro SD card, the Realme one as well as the Zenfone Max Pro come with a SIM tray which can hold 2 SIMs and 1 micro SD card together. Awesome. Only the Redmi Note 5 Pro comes with an IR blaster which can be used to control home appliances of most brands. Fortunately, all three phones come with all the important sensors, namely accelerometer, gyroscope, light sensor as well as proximity sensor. The Zenfone Max Pro doesn't support 5 GHz Wi-Fi while the other two phones support it. Realme one doesn't have a fingerprint scanner, but its face unlock is damn good. It even works in low light, and now the phone will remain locked if your eyes are closed. Still, fingerprint scanners are much faster and more secure, and here the Redmi Note 5 Pro is much faster than the Zenfone Max Pro. The Realme one doesn't have a notification LED, and the one on Redmi Note 5 Pro is more or less useless as it is a simple white LED light instead of a proper RGB light found in the Zenfone Max Pro. Lastly, in terms of value, there is no beating around the bush. The Realme one offers insane value considering that it has the best performance on paper, really good cameras, excellent audiovisual capabilities, and has the best-in-class storage. The Zenfone Max Pro also offers great value, and that 5000 mAh battery is a beast. This is the first time a Redmi Note phone seems overpriced compared to the competition. Well, competition is always great, right? I have to give this round to Oppo mainly because of that insane 128 gigs of internal storage plus expandability via micro SD while being the cheapest of the bunch. Next comes the Redmi Note 5 Pro as it is feature packed and doesn't miss out on any feature. And last but not least, the Zenfone Max Pro. Conclusion time. You won't repent buying any of these, but as an overall package, I like the Zenfone Max Pro the most. It only misses out on 5 GHz Wi-Fi, but has some major wins in software and battery department, and the camera is also full of potential. So what do you guys think of this comparison, and which one of these is your favorite? That's it for the video. Hope you enjoyed it. Please like, comment, share and subscribe to my channel down below. Thanks for watching.